Um,
Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. I will call tonight's meeting into order. This is the American Canyon Fire Protection District Board meeting for September 23rd, 2025. Please join me as we stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, can we have roll call, please?
Board Cruz,
Here.
Board Member Lamatina,
Here.
Board Member Oro,
Here.
Vice Chair Joseph,
Here.
and Chair Washington.
I'm here. Thank you, Martha. We'll report on closed session, confirmation, and reportable actions. Mr. Schwartz?
A written report will be prepared and will be available at the next board meeting.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to our proclamations and presentations. We have four proclamations, and the first one will be for Todd Pelletier. Can you come up to the podium? What I'll read the proclamation, and then I'll give you the opportunity to kind of give us, some feedback, and then we'll come up and take a picture with you.
Sure.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Honoring Clinical Coordinator Todd Pelletier for his dedicated service. Whereas the American Canyon Fire Protection District proudly recognizes the dedicated service and contributions of Clinical Coordinator Todd. And whereas Todd began his service with the district on April 25th, 2017, bringing with him valuable expertise in emergency medical services, the EMS, and a strong commitment to advancing the health of the safety of our community. And whereas, in his role as the clinical coordinator, Todd has established and refined EMS and paramedic policies and procedures, ensuring that our firefighters and paramedics are well equipped to deliver at the highest level of patient care. And whereas the responsibilities of the clinical coordinator include developing clinical standards, overseeing quality assurance programs, supporting paramedic training and education, implementing new medical protocols, and ensuring compliance with state and county EMS regulations, responsibilities that Todd has carried out with professionalism, leadership, and integrity. And whereas Todd provided exceptional guidance and leadership during the COVID-19 pandemic, helping the district navigate unprecedented challenges by adopting protocols, ensuring safety of personnel, and supporting the continuity of essential emergency services for our community. And whereas through his expertise, his dedication, and collaborative spirit, Todd has made a lasting impact on the district's emergency medical services program and the safety and the well-being of those we serve. So now, therefore, it be resolved that I, Pierre Washington, Chair of the Board of Directors of the American Canyon Fire Protection District, hereby recognize and extend our deepest gratitude to Clinical Coordinator Todd Pelletier for all of the years of service, leadership, commitment, and excellence in emergency medical care. Thank you.
I'll just be very brief, and I'll say, this chief and I had a conversation a few weeks ago, and really is a wonderful natural progression as to where the EMS program is in the district. I have been so fortunate, to lead clinical and operational EMS-related programs in several agencies, and I think there are a lot of particularly first responder and frankly fire-based agencies that see this as a secondary responsibility and don't really own the clinical care in their community. This district is not one of them, and I think it has been celebrated several times throughout both locally and regionally as the clinical excellence that these folks really strive for every day. And to be able to help infuse some of that early on in my career with the district and really see everybody take that over and have less and less of a role over time because of the amazing work that's being done has just been incredible. So congratulations to the firefighter paramedics and firefighters, the leadership of the department, and to all of you for a great program.
Yeah, well, you make the program great, so thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Community Emergency Response Team, the CERT team program. Do we have a recipient for that? I'm thinking it's Mary and Beth and everybody else wearing green. So, and again, I'll read the proclamation, then I'll give you an opportunity to say a few words. Proclamation for the month of October 2025 as National Community Emergency Response Team Month. Whereas the Community Emergency Response Team, CERT program, established by FEMA, plays a vital role in preparing our nation's communities for emergencies and disasters by empowering individuals to become skilled volunteers. And whereas the Community Emergency Response Team, the CERT program, educates volunteers about disaster preparedness for the hazards that may impact their area and trains them in basic disaster response skills, such as fire safety, light, search and rescue, team organization, and disaster medical operations. And whereas CERT members are a vital part of our community, assisting public safety agencies and the community in times of disaster, emergencies, and during community events. And whereas CERT promotes a culture of preparedness and resilience, ensuring that our community is better equipped to respond and recover from emergencies. And whereas the American Canyon Fire Protection District and the City of American Canyon recognizes the priceless contribution to CERT volunteers who dedicate their time, their skills, and a commitment to the public safety. And whereas National CERT Month serves as an opportunity to highlight the values of the volunteering and to recognize the vital contributions CERT volunteers provide to the communities nationwide, and whereas American Canyon Fire Protection District, in collaboration with the local, state, and federal agencies, encourages all residents to recognize the importance of CERT volunteers and their role in safeguarding the community. Now, therefore, I, Pierre Washington, Chair of the Board, do hereby proclaim October 2025 as Community Emergency Response Team Awareness Month, and I urge all residents to recognize the invaluable contributions of CERT members, to participate in CERT training opportunities, and to continue fostering a culture of preparedness within our community. Thank you for what you guys do.
So it is our honor and privilege to serve the City of American Canyon for the past 8 years. We were baptized by fire in the 2017 fire, and we've gone full force ever since then. I appreciate everybody's support. Look forward to hopefully getting some events under our belt for American Canyon for this year. We have not had any yet, limited on 2024's participation for American Canyon. But we are getting, we're still getting training and doing events throughout Napa County. And the Sheriff's Department calls upon us often. I'm just hoping that soon we'll be back in business in American Canyon. And I appreciate everybody's support. Thank you very much.
That you have, you definitely have. And you guys actually helped out just recently in Napa with the fires, correct?
Yes, sir.
I've
We
seen
were
that.
in Calistoga doing the harvest table. We left there.
You're talking about the picket fire.
I understand. We left there, and 5 minutes later, seriously, 5 minutes later, we got a call from the Sheriff's Department to come help with the picket fire.
Yeah.
So we just turned around. We already had our team with us. We were all dressed and ready. We just turned around and went to the fire. We were
Wow.
there till 2:30 in the morning.
That deserves another applause. So thank you.
Also, I want to say that we were also in Calistoga working the Harvest Festival. We were just leaving, deciding that we were going to go to Applebee's to have a nice dinner. We got a call asking if we could be deployed to Pope Valley Road, whereas all of you know that there was a major accident with the six. And we were there till 2:15 in the morning with the road closures and everything. So it's a privilege to be able to help our community and our county. And you know that I love our fire department desperately. I'm their #1 fan, and I thank everybody for your support and everything. But we have a great team, and we do train monthly and quarterly, so we're prepared. Well, how prepared can you be? But hopefully we'll be very prepared whenever something happens. So thank you for your support.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes?
Our third proclamation will be for Fire Prevention Month, and I believe Laura will be receiving this one. Oh, Chief Campbell, you'll receive, okay. Proclaiming the month of October 2025 as Fire Prevention Month. Whereas American Canyon Fire Protection District is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our community. And whereas fire continues to pose a serious threat to life and property, and rise of modern technology has introduced new fire hazards within the home. And whereas lithium-ion batteries, commonly found in everyday devices such as cell phones, laptops, e-bikes, and power tools, require proper handling, charging, and storage to reduce the risk of fire. And whereas the National Fire Protection Association, the NFPA, has designated the 2025 Fire Prevention Week theme as Charge into Fire Safety, Lithium-Ion Battery in Your Home. That was a quote. With the goal of educating residents of the safe use and maintenance of the powerful batteries. And whereas this year's Fire Prevention Month campaign stresses how the importance of how to buy, charge, and recycle safely when it comes to lithium-ion batteries. And whereas when buying a product that uses a lithium-ion battery, look for a safety certification mark such as the UL, the ETL, or the CSA. This means it meets the important safety standards, and whereas it charges the devices safely, always uses a cord and comes with the product to charge. Follow the instructions from the manufacturer. Buy new chargers from the manufacturer-approved locations. Charge your batteries on a hard surface. Don't overcharge your device. Unplug it or remove it from the battery when it is fully charged. And whereas the recycled batteries responsibilities, don't throw the lithium-ion battery in the trash or regular recycling bins because they could start a fire. Recycle your device or battery at a safe battery recycling location. Visit calltorecycle.org to find a recycling spot near you. And whereas the American Canyon Fire Protection, in partnership with the NFPA and the other fire safety organizations, provides education, resources, and outreach to help residents safeguard their homes and families against fire risks. And now therefore it be resolved that I, Pierre Washington, Chair of the Board of the Directors of American Canyon Fire Protection District, hereby proclaim October 2025 as Fire Prevention Month and urge all residents to participate in this year's campaign by learning about lithium-ion battery safety, supporting modern fire safety codes, and committing to the fire prevention practices that protect themselves, their loved ones, and their community. Chief?
That is a mouthful. So,
That is a mouthful. Yeah.
but we'll just say thank you. And yes, we just want to spread the awareness out there because everywhere around there is seeing an increase in lithium-ion battery fires or fires related to the batteries. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And the last proclamation, I think Pam, are you here? Hi Pam, you're going to come up and receive this for us? This proclamation is a proclamation for the month of October 2025. It's Sudden Cardiac Arrest Awareness Month. Whereas Sudden Cardiac Awareness, SCA, is the leading cause of death in the United States, claiming more than 350,000 lives each year. And whereas sudden cardiac arrest is an abrupt and unexpected stopping of the heart function, breathing, and awareness, and can affect individuals of any age, including infants, children, and young adults who may have not known they had heart disease. And whereas a heart attack is different from a sudden cardiac arrest, but a heart attack can sometimes trigger sudden cardiac arrest. And whereas the chances of survival from an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest depends on the immediate actions by bystanders, with a survival rate dropping by 10% for every minute without intervention. And whereas the American Canyon Fire Protection District is dedicated to educating the public on the prevention of emergency response to sudden cardiac arrests. And whereas Sudden Cardiac Arrest Awareness Month provides an opportunity for individuals, businesses, schools, and community organizations to come together and to promote heart health, life-saving skills, and preparedness in the event of an emergency. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Chair Pierre Washington, of the Board of Directors of the American Canyon Fire Protection District, hereby proclaim October 2025 as Cardiac Arrest Awareness Month.
I'm excited about the fact that the AED is so visible in this room. And I wanted to say thank you to Laura because she does such a great job on not only writing this proclamation, but having it happen every year, because awareness is what changes the outcome. As you mentioned, over 360,000 out-of-hospital cardiac arrests each year, and nationwide, our survival rate is under 10%. So that means 90 out of 100 people stay dead. And the way we change that is to have our citizens know that stepping up, calling 911, pushing hard and fast in the center of the chest, hands-only CPR, and using an AED when there's one available and needed is how we change that. And so I thank you guys for being so involved in this process. I acknowledge CERT for helping us on our CPR in schools program as we do 5th grade, 7th grade, and 9th grade throughout the valley in the hopes of changing a culture so that instead of, as adults do now, stepping back, our youth become comfortable with stepping forward. We know that just by doing anything, they'll double the chance of survival. So thank you for your work on this.
Yeah, and just to let you know that I experienced a good friend of ours came to our house last year, and he went into cardiac arrest, and we were able to call the fire department. They came out, and they were amazing. I mean, they pushed me to the side, and they were like, "Get out of here." They didn't even give me the problem. But they did an excellent job, and when we picked up my friend from the hospital, the doctor said, had it not been for American Canyon Fire Protection coming and doing what they did that day, he would not have survived. So thank you again. I could keep telling you that over and over and over. Thank you.
That's absolutely true, but how excited are you three back there on the engine when you walk into a cardiac arrest call and someone is actually doing CPR or using an AED? It changes their outcome to the where they then say, hey, we can make this, this guy can survive or this gal can survive. So just us stepping up and doing stuff on their way there, they bring all this other great, fabulous skill and equipment, makes their job easier too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. At this time, I'd like to open public comment for any items that are not on tonight's agenda. So if there's anybody that would like to make a public comment, Beth?
Yes, good evening, Beth Marcus, resident of American Canyon. I just want to thank the chief for, at 9/11, I was given the privilege and honor of receiving the flag from the fire department, and I'm proudly flying it on my flagpole right now. And I just want to thank you so much. It was an honor to receive that. Thank you.
Chair Justin Hamilton on Zoom has his hands up.
Okay. Hi, Justin.
Good evening, Mayor, here, Washington. This is Justin Hall. I want to make a very brief comment. Our department and fire chief, all the guys went up to the street. The light bulb was, the car was crashed, and I want to thank the fire department and the fire chief. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Were you able to hear him, Chief? He was thanking you and the team for, responding. Thank you, Justin. Anyone else, Madam Clerk?
No, Chair.
If there's no one else that has any public comment, I'll close public comment. And then I'll move on to agenda changes. Are there any agenda changes from the board?
If there are none, then I'll make a motion. We go ahead and accept the consent calendar.
Consent calendar has 5 items. Can I get a second?
I
somewhere?
second.
We have a second. Madam Clerk, can you do roll call?
Board Member Cruz?
Yes.
Board Member Lamatina?
Yes.
Board Member Oro?
Yes.
Vice Chair Joseph?
Yes.
And Chair Washington.
Yes. Public hearings, we'll move on to public hearing where we have one item, item number 11. It's the final operating and capital budget for the American Canyon Fire Protection District for fiscal year 2025, 2026. Mr. Campo.
Thank you, Chair Washington, members of the board. I'll ask the fire chief if he has any comments he'd like to make to start. Nope. I'll move right into the presentation. So as you indicated, tonight we're here for the final budget public hearing and adoption process. And we'll take a look at the updated financial forecast as well. Okay, it should be fairly brief. So the purpose of this final budget is to make any adjustments to the preliminary budget that was adopted by the board in June. And for the public, the fire district law requires the board to adopt a preliminary budget by July 1st and a final budget by October 1st. This gives us, that time in between gives us the ability to make any adjustments for the final budget. If we get any updated property tax information, close out of the books from the previous year, that sort of thing. That said, we have not received any property tax update yet from the county, and the city is still in the process of closing the books. So there's things like investment income that we're waiting on, and any final adjustments to revenue or expenses. One thing we did encounter during this interim period was several state grants that required some adjustments and some revenue to be accrued back to the previous year. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but there was about $50,000 of additional state grant revenue that needed to be recognized, as well as some investment earnings on lease proceeds that hadn't been recognized for a couple of years. So we'll talk about those adjustments as we go through. So this first slide is taking a look at the general operations for the district, the general fund, if you will. Actual results for fiscal year 25, the 2 left columns there shows that we had a slightly larger deficit than we expected. We had more overtime costs due to some on-the-job and off-the-job injuries. As, let's see, there was overtime. Oh, and a reduction in the property tax revenues for the year. So that combination of factors led to a slightly higher deficit. We still end the year with about 5.1, a little over $5.1 million in the general fund. The fiscal year 26 preliminary budget showed a deficit of about $212,000, primarily because we're adding in that 3rd battalion chief position mid-year, but that was incumbent upon property tax revenue coming in, and so we're still kind of in a wait-and-see mode on that. But that number stays the same at about $212,000, and we end the year at about $4.9 million ending fund balance. That represents about, if you look at the expenditures above, $8.7 million, so that ending balance is about 56% of general fund expenditures for the year. This is the mitigation fee fund. This accounts for development impact fees. The revenues consist of development impact fees and investment earnings. Of course, the mitigation development impact fees are based on the level of development activity that takes place during the year, and our projections are based on really a 5-year average, because it's kind of hard to predict what development's going to do from year to year. Mitigation fees came in at about $310,000 versus our budget for fiscal '25. We had it pegged at more like $475,000. So I think that reflects both, the slowdown in development activity that the city experienced during the year. The ending balance for both years, about $1.4 million for last fiscal year, and we're projecting about $1.3 million ending balance for next year. And we'll get into more details with the revenue and expenses as we go through the slides. But again, no changes in the fiscal year 26, final, from preliminary to final. This is the Fleet Facilities and Equipment Fund. This is the district's capital projects fund. So this is where we actually do the purchase of equipment and facilities improvements and those sorts of activities. The revenues here come primarily from transfers, either from the general operating fund or from the mitigation fee fund, along with investment earnings. Let's see. As I mentioned, fiscal year 25, you can see the revenue is higher than what we had budgeted for. And again, that was the state grant money that was recognized. The expenditures for those grants occurred in this fund, but the revenue was in a separate fund, so we had to bring that in to offset those expenditures. And we also were able to recognize about $27,000 in interest earnings on the lease proceeds for the fire engine purchases. We had those monies setting aside, and they were earning interest. And so we finally brought that interest in. So that gave us that higher revenue figure for 25. For 26, there were really no changes from the preliminary budget. So now we start looking a little closer at the revenues for the general fund. So you notice right off there's a reduction in property tax revenue. So given the activity from last year, we thought it was prudent to take a closer look at our projection for property tax revenue. We brought that down more in line with what the city's property tax revenue projections were for property taxes. To offset that, though, we had additional strike team revenues. We had some activity that occurred in July, so we know what that activity is. So we're able to pick up additional revenue there. Plan review revenue, we felt that we could increase that by about $25,000. And then the first responder fee, the board increased that fee in June, so we recognize about another $28,000 there. The net effect is about $33,500 increase in overall revenues, which is equivalent to the amount of overtime expended on those strike teams that happened in July. So the net effect was zero on the bottom line for the general fund, but we took that additional revenue and used that to reduce the property taxes projected for next year. So this is the development impact fees. I mentioned last year we projected about $475,000. We dropped that to $426,000 at the preliminary budget, and we just left that the same. We had a large influx of mitigation fee revenue. It's already occurred in the first quarter, so I feel pretty comfortable with that figure. And interest earnings stays the same at $42,000. So no changes there. No changes as well to the Fleet Facilities and Equipment Fund. See, the big source of funding there is the $525,000 transfer from the Development Impact Fee Fund. The other miscellaneous is the $50,000 a year coming from Napa Logistics Park. That was $50,000 a year for 10 years. This is year 9, so we got one more to go. But no changes from preliminary budget. Again, on the expenditure side, the only change that occurs here for the general fund is in the personnel area, and I mentioned that increase of $33,000 for the overtime. That was the only change from preliminary budget. The same for the transfer out of the fire mitigation fee fund. There's no change to that number. And no change to the proposed expenditures in the Fleet Facilities and Equipment Fund. Yeah, I'm going through this a little quickly because we discussed this all at, when we adopted the preliminary budget. So we get to our general fund forecast. Again, there's not much change here. The proposed deficit for 25-26 at $212,000 stays the same. Again, I mentioned that we had the $4.9 million in the general fund. We had $1.3 million in the fleet mitigation fee fund that can be used to help out with operations if need be. So I think there's sufficient cash for ongoing operations, and it still provides enough cushion for the district to make adjustments if they need to, especially waiting on to see what the property tax numbers are when those come in. And with that, I take any questions. The next steps would be to conduct a public hearing, take any questions from the public, and then take it up for the board discussion, and then adopt the final budgets for operating capital for the year.
Thank you, Mr. Campo. Any clarifying questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, I'll open it up to public comment for any questions on item 11. Seeing none aside here, do we have anybody online, Madam Clerk?
No, Chair.
I'll return to the board for a recommendation or any other comments.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for that report. And I appreciate the fact that, again, like as you mentioned, the rationale behind a preliminary and a final is for the final, you kind of know where you're at, and ironically, we don't. And there's another element that we don't know either, and that is there are some large developments in this community that haven't started off yet. Giovannoni Industrial Park in particular, and some activity in the ruins and the town center parcels, which are particularly lucrative for the fire district. So from my perspective, I'm okay with the budget. I am concerned about the 3rd Battalion Chief. I think I indicated at the preliminary that as much as I support it and understand it's critical, I am at heart a finance guy, and if the numbers aren't there, I'm, also the kind of person to say if you can't afford it, it doesn't matter how much you need it. So what I'm thinking, a good idea might be to even, to go ahead and adopt the budget as proposed, but give direction to staff to defer the actual recruitment until we do get a better handle on the property tax numbers, as well as the prospects for some of those land developments to occur. I'm comfortable, operating in a deficit if we know there's light at the end of the tunnel. And the light in my mind is 2 or 3 major projects that are being talked about, but we have to watch and wait until they happen. So I'm comfortable with the budget, with an understanding that, at mid-year we'll revisit, where things stand and make a decision on whether to initiate that recruitment or not. So that's my comment for the board and the public and everyone else. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Any other comment? Quick question, just curious of, can you anticipate or figure out how much longer you think we would have to wait for them to come up with that final property tax number? Is that a crapshoot that we,
I don't think our auditor controller got the memo on, we need that number before October 1st. In the past, I think it should come around mid-October, first, second week of October. It just kind of varies. Sometimes we've had it before the final budget, but the last few years it's been after.
Yeah, the last couple of years, it's been after the final budget. A couple of weeks ago, I had a conversation with the auditor controller, and she's had some personnel turnover within her department that has provided some additional challenges or delays in getting the property tax estimates out. In our conversation, she had indicated that she was hopeful that the estimates would be done by September 15th, but obviously that hasn't happened. So when we will actually receive those official estimates, and why those are so important is that's what the county is going to pay us under the Teeter Act for our property tax. Those final numbers are at a date to be determined at this point, but I know that Tracy and her staff are working diligently to get that done, because they do understand the impacts, especially to the districts within the county that, for lack of a better term, live and die off property tax.
you mentioned October 1. October 1, what significance does that date have?
October 1 is written in the Fire District Law of 1987 that explicitly states that a fire district must adopt their final budget prior to October 1. So unfortunately, because of that statute, we don't have the luxury of delaying our final budget until we receive the property tax estimates. We're bound by that to have a final budget adopted prior to October 1.
Okay, so in essence, if you didn't do it, is there a penalty to the fire district?
I'm not really sure I'd want to find out, but it's not written in the statute doesn't explicitly state what the ramifications are for not adopting it. And we have traditionally always adopted a budget prior to October 1.
Gotcha. The only reason I ask is because I know if there's a penalty to the fire district, I know if I'm late to provide something to the county, I get a penalty. And it'd be kind of funny to see if we could penalize the county for not getting us the information that we need on time to make a sound decision. So just putting it out there.
They're a little higher on the food chain.
Yeah, I know they are. I have nothing else. I'll enter. Yeah, I know.
There's a saying about not biting the hand that feeds you, and literally the auditor is who feeds us our property taxes.
That was a much more politically correct answer the chief gave than I did, so.
Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion.
All right. So to prevent a penalty here, I move that a resolution of the Board of Directors of the American Canyon Fire Protection District adopting the final operating and capital budgets, the final budget for fiscal year 2025-2026.
I'll second that with an understanding that we'll defer recruitment on the 3rd Battalion Chief until we have a better handle on our financials. Otherwise, I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a second, Madam Clerk. Can we get a roll call, please?
Board Member Cruz?
Yes.
Board Member Lamatina?
Yes.
Board Member Oro?
Yes.
Vice Chair Joseph?
Yes.
Chair Washington?
Yes. And thank you, Ken. We appreciate you. Moving right along, we'll move to the Fire Chief oral reports. Chief Bellier?
Thank you, Chair. I'll keep it brief tonight. Just would like to remind both everyone in the room as well as members of the public that may be watching this that October is Fire Prevention Month. And with that, we'll be hosting our annual open house October 4th, be from 10 to 1 p.m. at the Public Safety Building. The first hour from 10 to 11 is a designated quiet hour, so the members of our community that may be sensitive to light or loud noises can still experience the open house and come meet their firefighters. And then also, this year we will also have a little bit something different. We'll have Copter 11 available as a static display at Shenandoah Park immediately next to the station. So if members of the public are interested in viewing that and learning more about that program, they'll have an opportunity to learn about that and talk to the crew that works on that helicopter. And then, other than that, we did have our first concert series in American Canyon, and I'm happy to report that everything went well. There was no service calls for the fire district related to the concert. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions from the board? Seeing none, appreciate that report and the acknowledgement of the event at the ruins and how it went well. So thank you for sharing that. Are there any remarks or future comments from the board for the chief? Wow. Seeing no remarks, then we have concluded our business for this evening. We are adjourned. Thank you. Good night, American Canyon.